Well, I was working on The Face, and I was halfway through the novel, or maybe a little more than half, and the page I was working on wasn't going as well as I wished it would, and into my head suddenly came the line, "My name is Odd Thomas, I lead an unusual life." I had no idea what that meant, because it didn't have anything to do with the book I was writing, but I knew it was the beginning of a story, so I turned around and wrote it down on a legal pad that I keep beside me to make notes. And the next thing I knew, I had filled up that legal pad with the whole first chapter of Odd Thomas. So I knew from the beginning that Odd Thomas was a gift and that there was something special about him. And every book I've worked on with him, I hear him speaking. It doesn't mean I need to be institutionalized. I'm not hearing voices inside my head. He's just like a real person, like a friend I know. Odd has been growing more mature with every book. It's subtle ways, he's becoming a different person. He's 20 when the first book comes out, and now he's 21. It doesn't seem like much, but he's had a lot of adventures in those couple of years. And in this book, he has to get his hands dirty in ways he didn't have to do before. Oddie finds the killing, even in self-defense in this book, something that shakes him pretty deeply, and that's going to change him as a person in future books. Fiction is more realistic if it's full of detail that comes out of real life. So if I'm interested in Meiji period bronzes, I'm going to have a character in some scene walk into a room where there's Meiji period bronzes. It's just like everything you learn about or know about in your life, you cannibalize. So that's why the friends of ours are very careful around me, because anything they say is liable to end up in dialogue in a book. So I'm finding the older I get that the more writers I read are writers pre-Freudian, the writers who didn't devote their characters to Freudian theory, who base their characters just on human nature. So I tend to read novelists of the 19th century more than anything contemporary these days. But I was inspired by them, inspired by all kind of science fiction writers like Ray Bradbury and Theodore Sturgeon, and the suspense novelist John D. MacDonald was a big influence on me because of his characterization, which I thought was so wonderful. And I was well out of college when one day I picked up Tale of Two Cities and read Dickens for the first time, and was so enthralled that I read the book through on a weekend and finished it at about 2 or 3 in the morning in bed, and Gerda was sound asleep, and she woke up because I had broken into tears at the end of Tale of Two Cities because the ending is so moving. I'm going to write at least 2 more Odd Thomas novels, but I'm not moving immediately on to writing an Odd Thomas novel. I'm working on a book right now, soon to finish I hope, called Your Heart Belongs to Me, and it's a story of a man who's 34 years old, and he has cardiomyopathy, which he doesn't realize until he starts to get symptoms. He ends up getting a heart transplant, and a year later he's in perfect health, except he begins to get odd little items in the mail, heart-shaped lockets, heart-shaped candies. He starts getting videos about heart transplants, and they're not so nice. And he starts getting messages that say, "Your heart belongs to me." It has the biggest surprise, I think, in any novel I've ever written. And it takes a risk that readers are either going to hit me upside the head for or they're going to love. And that's as much as I'll say about it.